Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Cup preview of PAOKTalk. We are your hosts, Angelo and Jono. Jono, how are you this evening?
Hey Angelo, doing great, man. It all comes down to this final game of the season, cup final. A lot of our success in terms of this season rides on the result of this game. So I'm G'd up for it. At time of recording, we're a week away, so it's still a
hmm
while to go. But yeah, I'm super excited, man. It's probably our biggest game for the season, the way it's all played out.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think this is a huge determination game to see where we'll be going into next year. I think the past couple of episodes, if you've been following along, the listeners that I've been critical of the club and of the manager, but we've seemed to turn it around. I'm not looking into the past couple of playoff games because ultimately our second place finish has been decided. And I think our team is ready to go. I think we could see a possible transition into next year and have a more successful season next year where we're not 20 points behind first place. And we'll see. But, we have a lot to talk about. So, Jono, I'll let you decide, which.
Why are you giving me a creative control of this episode? I like that. I appreciate it. I think some people would say that it's long overdue, but whatever, man. It's all I'm here.
I,
I'm ready
I
for
know
my
exactly
opportunity.
who Pascali's. I'm sorry. That would say it's long overdue that you get creative control, and that has nothing to do with the amount of vodkas I've had tonight. So, Jono, which
Yes.
direction do you want to take this?
Yeah. So look, let's just disclaim this episode by saying in New York tonight or this week, things in terms of going out went back to normal in terms of there's no more, the curfew's been pushed back. So Angela's been out and enjoying himself. So we apologise if he's a little bit slurry, but no, he's all good. We're obviously joking. He's just been having a good time. Obviously, it's been a tough
No,
year
no,
for
you're
him.
not joking. I apologize if I'm being slurry, but I'm usually professional about it. So we'll see how we go. But go ahead, Jono. Take the lead.
Yeah, yeah. So back into the game. While we're all here to talk about the cup final. Yeah. So this will be our first cup final against Olympiakos in 20 years, which seems a little bit remarkable. We obviously won that game back in 2001, 4-2, I think it was.
Yep.
Huge game. Olympiakos had like a great team, then had won the league. So, I mean, it seems kind of crazy that this is our first final against them in so long, just because there's such a rich history between the two clubs. And we've had a lot of huge clashes in the cup over the years. It just has never been in the final. We've had epic semis and quarterfinals and all the like. Obviously, last year, Olympiakos knocked us out at the semi-final stage. So, a lot of history there. So, yeah, really excited for this one. So, we'll get right into it. So, one of the questions, or what we think one of the big questions is for the game, is who we think most of the 11 is locked in, and we'll
Yep.
touch on the 11 a bit later. So, one of your boys, I should say, came back in the winter transfer window. Warda has been pretty good. Came back, was solidly in the 11. Has lost his spot. El Kaduri got injured a few weeks ago. His Warda's gotten it back. So El Kaduri is fit again. We expect him to potentially play in the final playoff game of the season. We're obviously recording this just before, but we do expect El
Couple
Kaduri
hours
to play.
before. Yeah, like
Yeah,
exactly 12 hours before. Yeah, it's 12:30 my time and it's 12:30 a.m. now. Yeah, so 12 hours before. Yep.
yeah, there you go. So we expect him to be given some minutes against Asteras, so he can have some match fitness going into the final. So for us, one of the big questions is who do you start on that left flank in the 3-4-3? Well, is it Warda or is it El Kaduri? So Warda obviously gives you flair, creativity, unpredictability. El Kaduri, very workmanlike, solid, doesn't make mistakes with the ball. So, I mean, it's a bit of a philosophical question. So I'll throw over to you, Angelo. Who would you be starting, Warda or El Kaduri?
So my brain and my heart are telling me two different things. I think what you just touched upon, the last statement right there, it's, El Kaduri is, if we're playing in the game where we're not going to have more possession and you need someone to possibly create something, and I thought of this of Biseswar too when he was here, he's not going to give you the flair. He's not going to give you 90 minutes of work rate, and he's not going to give you 90 minutes of shots and chances. But he might give you that one opportunity based off of his, um, background of playing and his expertise, and I think that's the same with El Kaduri. But the thing about Warda is, yes, he hasn't scored in a while. I think it's been a couple of months, 2 months or so. I think we were looking at his the last time I saw that he scored was February. I could be wrong, but I think it was late February. But he is that player that can create a sense of hesitation for the opponent's defense. As a defender, if you have Warda or El Kaduri, El Kaduri is not going to go by you, right? He's not going to race by you. He's not going to be the type of player that can take you on 1v1. But Warda can be. So, I think in a game like this, I think we have nothing to lose here. And you could comment on this later. I think Olympiakos has everything to lose. They won the title. Imagine they just win the title this year and they don't win the cup, right? When they're clearly the best team on paper in Greece. If they win one and lose the other, I think that'd be kind of demeaning for them. So I think Olympiakos has everything to lose. So I wouldn't be opposed to starting Warda, see how he does. If we're winning at halftime or winning at the 60th minute mark, we could take him out, put El Kaduri in, who can kind of shore up the formation and be that player who will draw a foul, right? Who will slow things down, who will get a corner kick when needed to, who will get thrown when needed to. I would start Warda over El Kaduri, and it's nothing against El Kaduri. I just think this is a game where you go for it. You go for it early on, and I wouldn't be opposed if we're high pressing, we're attacking early on, and we give up an early goal. So be it. But what do you think? Would you agree with that statement?
Well, yeah. I mean, I admire your like the courage, because I think a lot of football coaches in world football at the moment have the philosophy, you try to not lose a game early and then you try to win it at the end. So, I mean, what you're saying to me, like, honestly, I probably was leaning towards El Kaduri, but what you're saying, like, kind of makes sense to me in terms of, like, just go for it. Like, don't, and, like, Wanda's not, like, in terms of, he's a player that tracks back. He can be
Right.
a bit of a loose cannon and, like, hot-headed, so you could be concerned about, potentially being booked early on. He goes in full of adrenaline, so that obviously is something that you don't want, but yeah, I mean, I'm not opposed to the idea. If I was Garcia, I feel like it would be a decision that I would make at the very last minute. Like, I'd be sleepy. It'd be keeping me up all week.
Yeah.
Like, I would really be tossing and turning, because there are pros and cons to both, and you just outline those perfectly. With El Kaduri, you get the solid, you get reliable. He's not gonna, give the ball away generally. Once he fatigues, he kind of turns into a different player, and I think we've seen that throughout the season. But for the first 60 minutes of a game, he's gold. Warda is everything that we missed in the first half of the season. He's creative. Right. He takes players on. He runs at you. He puts you as a defender in uncomfortable situations. I mean, yeah. I mean, I honestly, I don't know what he'll do, but yeah, I mean, you've kind of swayed me, man. You are a persuasive guy. So I think I'm leaning towards Warda, but I'm not gonna, criticize and. If he does go the El Kaduri route, right. I think that's justified, and I think El Kaduri has played well in big games. I think it also comes down to how you think the game will play out. So we're expecting Olympiakos to line up like us with a 3-4-3 formation.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's going to be a bit of a standoffish game. I think both teams won't be taking too many risks early. So if that's the case and possessions, 50-50, are you better off going with, an El Kaduri where, maybe retaining possession might be a little bit more important? But, the game could go either way. Like, we might come out and try to jump them, like you said, and put them on the back foot. They might do the same to us, because I think probably both coaches will be expecting the other one to come in kind of trying not to lose the game. But,
right.
It's an interesting debate, and I would be interested for other people listening to, to tweet in and let us know who they think should start, because we think that's probably going to be the biggest headache of Garcia in the week leading up to the final. Another one that we think he might have is starting striker.
Mm-hmm.
So we've obviously seen Svidevski kind of win his spot back from Kremensik in the second half of the season into the playoffs. Kremensik has come up big, though, with some big goals, obviously against AEK in the semi-final.
Yep.
And there was another one that's slipping my mind at the moment. Was it against AEK in the league? Adis maybe. I can't remember. We've got a lot of stuff going on at the moment, so I apologise. Kremensic's been coming up big with goals. So the question now is who starts in the final? So, I mean, I'll throw it over to you again. I mean, I have opinions, strong opinions on who I think should start, but I'll ask you first. Who would you be starting out of these two?
Yeah, I'm fine with starting Swiderski. See how he does it. It's kind of the same thing where you start with one, and if you get something from him, that's great, right? Because then you can make the change later on. You could pull him out for maybe a midfielder if we need to conserve a lead. Um, as a coach, the last thing I'd want to do is put my hot. I was gonna say hottest striker, but I don't want to say that because I mean it's not like he's pounding goals in left and right, right? I want to keep options available, right? So, if I was a coach, again, I would start with Swiderski, see what he can offer you, because if he can get you, it's not going to be anything negative, right? So if he can get you a goal early on, or if he could get an assist, create something, hold up possession, play back, things that strikers should be able to do in a game like this, then that's awesome, right? If he could get you a goal, even better. If it's 0-0 and you take him out and you put in Kremenchik and he gets you a goal, that's even better. But if we start with Kremenchik and he gets nothing, you can't bring Swiderski in to get that additional attacking piece that we're missing. Right? I don't think you can reverse it. Looking at Kremenchik, I'm looking at his last few stats. He had that goal versus Ike. He's had an assist versus Adis, an assist versus Ike, right? So he got a 2-point game. He had the other assist versus Ike. The first playoff game, he had a goal in 4 of the 5 cup matches. So I think he's the type of player that if you need a goal, you bring him on, and he might be able to create that chance for a goal. I don't know if I'd start him just because I don't know if he offers everything else, right? But you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, look, I understand, but yeah, like I get where you're coming from, and again, I think it probably comes down to more of a philosophical debate in terms of how you want to approach the game. I'm going to disagree with you because I really think that against Olympiakos, especially, who have physical centre backs. Now we need to say, Bar, one of their centre backs, is definitely out injured. Mm-hmm. Socrates Papasathopoulos is in doubt. I think he'll find a way to play. He got a knock against us actually a few days ago in the playoff game. But Semedo will definitely be there. I expect Socrates to be fit, but regardless, it's going to be Semedo will be the central centre back. He's a physical guy. He's a beast, and I just watched Swiderski time and time again against physical centre backs be invisible. Like he's not there, like he's not. He just physically can't match it with these guys, and Kremenci can. Swiderski is probably a better scorer, but I would honestly argue he's maybe a better. I don't even want to say finisher. He has a better games to goals ratio than Kremenci. I think would be safe to say. Kremenci seems to get in the positions though and like have chances. Kremenci also pulls himself wide and throws himself about and is capable of bringing other players into the game. So for me, if you start, especially starting with Swiderski when everyone's fresh, no one's fatigued, I think he's going to be invisible, not invisible, but I think he'll struggle. And I think when we get forward, they're going to try use him, and he's just going to lose the ball, and we're going to get frustrated, and the pressure's going to build. Yeah. So for me, it's a no-brainer against the physical centre backs of Olympiakos. You go Kremenci because he can match it with them, and then if you need a goal, and I would be keeping Kremenci on the whole time unless it gets to the point where we're a goal down. Even then, I probably wouldn't take him off. I'd probably be playing with 2 strikers.
Of course,
chasing.
You go to 4-2-4, right, with the 2 midfielders, and I say 4-2-4, right? You have the 2 midfielders, and then you have the high wingers on the side.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So, like for me, barring injury, Kremenci plays, the full game, unless we're obviously up by a couple of goals and he wants to kind of, change the system and, try, close down the game. That's a different story. But for me, Kremenci is the one. Swiderski off the bench if we're chasing a goal. And that's the way I would go. So as we move on from that, from the striker debate, we think the rest of the 11 is basically set in stone. We'll just run through it quickly, what we expect it to be. So we expect Paskalakis in goals, whose form has improved relatively heading into the playoffs. He's being backed in as a number one. We expect the three centre-backs, Vieirinha, Ingerson, if he's fit. And we probably, well, this is one we don't know, the left-sided centre-back. Crespo is fit again. Michailidis has been playing well. So we might come back to that. Let's just run through the rest of the 11. We'll have Rodrigo as a right wing-back, Baba as a left full-back, Svaba Gusto as central midfielders, Zivkovic on one wing, and then obviously the two spots that we've just discussed, one of Sudeski, Kremencic, or Warda El Kaduri. But we think, 8 of the spots in the 11 are locked in. We've obviously debated the other couple. So just quickly before we move on, so Crespo's fit again. Michailidis has been impressive. Who would you be going for that third centre-back, the left-sided centre-back? Would you go the guy who's been in form and playing, Michailidis, or do you want the cool, experienced head of Crespo? Quick answer, bro. Quick answer. We're on the clock. Come on.
Crespo.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Okay. I think he will go the experience, but I would go Michailidis. I think he's been playing well, and I like in a back three. I like having a left-footed centre back.
That's fair. Yeah.
I
mean, it's tough, right? There's so many factors at play. Like we don't. How's practice going, right? How are the sessions leading up to the game going? How's the club room atmosphere going, right? But I think in a game like this where tensions are going to be high, emotions are going to be high, I think we go with the more experienced, right? I mean, Crespo did well in Europe early in the year, did he not?
Yeah, no, he did.
Right, so I think something like that in a big game like this, I think that's where you go. But again, either or, I'm fine with. So it's not like the Warda, the comparison versus El Kaduri, where obviously I'm favoring Warda. This I'm fine either way.
Yeah, fair enough. Let me just quickly throw this to you, and then we'll move on to quickly chat about Olympiakos. If Ingerson, who hasn't trained for about a week or two, maybe closer to 2 weeks, doesn't end up fit, and Varela has to be that central defender in the back three, does that change who you play next on the left side of him, or you don't care if it's Crespo, if it's Varela or Ingerson, you still want Crespo?
I'm still fine with Crespo at that point.
Okay. All right. Cool. It'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. Garcia for sure has a few decisions to make heading into this week. So obviously we're playing Olympiakos, who you touched on earlier. They won the league comfortably. So what areas do you think, if you think any, that we need to specifically look out for? I mean, obviously they're a good team. We know that they've kept the core of their team together for about 2 years now. It's probably it's a big part of why they've had success. So I mean, their midfield's good. El Arabi is obviously dangerous. Is there anything in particular that you think we need to look out for?
Again, on paper, and I've said this whole year, and I know you could back me up on this. I think on paper they're the best club in Greece. Obviously, soccer is one of the games where the best team always doesn't win, right? There's a lot of things at play. I think for us to win, a couple things need to happen. One, we need to make sure that we get out of the first half at least 0-0. Whether we're winning 1-0, 2-0, 3-0, whatever it is. I think they can. I would even think we're winning or drawn, right? If we're losing at halftime, I think it's over. I don't think we'll be able to come back from that based off of our ability to create chances late in the second half when we're down. I don't think that's that strong. So I think we need to be able to hold them, and I think our defense is showing up. We've had some games where we've looked strong in the back, and we've had some games where we've looked extremely weak at the back, especially with goalkeeping and our center backs. So ultimately, I think if it's a 0-0 game or we're winning 1-0, 2-0 at halftime, we'll be fine. And then we could park the bus, right? Teams have done it against us. Teams have done it against Olympiakos. I'm looking at Olympiakos' their fixtures, right? let's see the playoff, right? They've won 1-0 against us, obviously. Astera 0-0, Aris 1-1, Ike 2-0. You know, they've been playing pretty much a 5-4-1 formation throughout the whole playoffs. They switched to a 3-4-3. And then, or a 5-4-1 can turn into a 3-4-3, right? If they're attacking. Yeah. So it really depends. I wouldn't say that it depends on their style as much as it depends on what we do coming out. I could see Garcia coming out and being a high press team in the cup final and showing balls and no fear at all, right? But maybe the smart thing is to kind of sit back and see how they do. You know, how would you play going into this game?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think an interesting point as you're looking at the results over the last few weeks. Obviously, the results do seem patchy, but they've had the league wrapped up, and Martins, their
Of
coach, has
course.
been rotating quite heavily. So they've been, getting some youngsters in, and so I mean, I don't look too much into their results. It's going to be a different team. It's going to be a different game. Yeah, look, I think it'll be a cagey game. To be honest, I think both teams will, like I kind of mentioned earlier, they'll stand off each other. Both teams won't want to make a mistake. I don't know if pressing will be. I think there'll be moments when we maybe press, like there's a chance that they're moving the ball slow or there's a bit of a loose pass, but I don't think pressing will be constant.
Right.
I think it's going to be teams, I think it's going to be both teams just trying to feel each other out and trying to get to halftime at 0-0. And then, in the second half, we'll start to see moves made. Obviously, it's football. Anything can happen. A goal could go in via a mistake, via a moment of brilliance, via a set piece. So that a goal could obviously change the game. If Ingerson is fit, I just want to say, because El Arabi has obviously been the best striker in Greece for 2 seasons now, Ingerson has a pretty good record against him, though. I feel like El Arabi doesn't score that often. I'm not sure I think he has scored against us. I believe he scored during the regular season in our loss at the Karaskakis. But Ingerson generally has a pretty good record against him. He does well, so fingers crossed that Ingerson is fit and is able to come in and play on him. Beyond that, yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I think a lot of it comes down to us. You obviously need to show respect to the opposition. They have a few question marks in their 11 because they obviously have some quality attacking players that don't always get the start. Talking, of course, about Fortunis and to a lesser extent, Valbuena, who's dropped off this year as he's kind of aged. So, yeah, I mean, if we come ready to play and switched on, which I think we will, I can't imagine, the team not being fired up for this game, especially early.
Right.
I think we'll go into the half in the game. Whether it's 0-0, I mean, ideally we would have a lead. But, yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see. But, yeah, I'm predicting a cagey start, and I wouldn't expect, entertaining football necessarily. But you never know. Things can happen.
So we have a couple of minutes left. What's your final prediction?
Well, I mean, I have to go for a PAOK win, 100%. Like, it would be amazing to get a title. And I know, just 2 years ago, we obviously won the double, but, it feels like a long time ago. And, the way this season was really like a roller coaster in terms of results and emotions and all that sort of thing. So I think if Garcia could if Garcia could win a title, like, it would be a great effort, and it'd be a great effort from the team. And I think also to deny this Olympiakos team a trophy when they've literally lost 3 games
Right.
in the league over 2 years would be, pretty special as well. Like, like you said, put all the off-field bullshit aside that, the teams are at each other's throat purely on field. They are a good team. And I think even, most one-eyed PAOK fans would agree with that. They are a good team. So anytime you get an opportunity to play a good team in a final and to win something off them is a big moment. So I'm going to pick PAOK. I'm going to say 1-0. I think it's going to be scrappy, cagey, and the goal will come from Warda, from your guy, and he will go ballistic. He will go ballistic in an empty stadium, and when it goes around the world, I think that it might go viral because he's going to run into the stands and celebrate with no one. But I think
that's the guy who FaceTimed me with my cousin in Greece when he was drunk. Yep. So I'm down for that.
Yeah, so Wabda, we got that connection. We're not going to make any promises, but if he does score the winner in the cup final, we'll have him on in the review episode of the cup final.
That's right. Yep, we'll have him on for sure. We'll see if we get that.
So how about you, mate? What's your prediction?
I think we're going to win in penalties. I think this is the first time that we're going to go in penalties since I think it was the game for Saudis, right? What year was that? That was
08-09 season.
08-09. It was quarterfinals.
It was 2008. 2008, I'm pretty sure.
Right.
Somewhere in there.
Yeah, I think we'll go in the penalties. I think we'll win there. I think we'll just be more relaxed ultimately. So, I think it'll be maybe I'll say a 1-1 game in regulation, and then we'll win in penalties.
Wow, that would be amazing. Imagine, wow. I don't know what that would do for the old heart, but that would be entertaining.
I would need a lot of alcohol to see through that. I'll tell you that.
Just out of curiosity, do you know what time the cup game is for you guys in the US or on the East Coast at least? Do you know, or you're not sure? Because it's 4 a.m. here in Australia or in Melbourne, so it's a pretty.
And what time? Hold on. So what time is it now for you now?
It's
right
like
now.
2:30. Oh, it's some
2:30 p.m. Okay, so yes. Well, you're probably good at this math. So it's 12:30 in the morning for me.
Yeah.
So what time would it be for me then? If it's
so the game's in 14 hours time, in 1 week and 14 hours for me basically. So
2:30 for me. 2:30.
It's going to be the afternoon. It's a good time basically. That's what I was trying to get at.
Right,
we didn't want to break into a mathematical debate on air, but
right.
So it's going to be a good time for yourself, which is good. We're going to have the 4 a.m. wake up, which will be fun, but it's all part of it's part of getting up for a final and living in the Southern Hemisphere and following European football. So I'm excited for it, man, and fingers crossed that your prediction or my prediction, or we just get a win however it comes.
Exactly.
Bring us a trophy, and we wish the team good luck. We wish Garcia everyone good luck, and I just want to sign off by saying I really hope that it stays on field, that we don't get any of, the bullshit that we tend to get in games like this in the off field, people pointing fingers, accusing each other of just ridiculous things. Like, let's just get to the stadium in one piece. Let's play the game. Whoever wins, congrats. Let's also not be sore winners and sore losers. No. Whoever wins and loses, I don't think it's too much to ask of professional athletes, but I mean, in Greece, it does seem to be something that no one is capable of. So that's my, probably my biggest wish overall, that, the game gets through without any events, any unsavory events.
That's right. All right. Well, I think you touched upon it, Jono. So I hope you have a great game. Good luck to both teams, especially PAOK in this cup final. Thank you all for listening to the cup preview, and hope you enjoy. Make sure you follow all the social media, and we'll talk soon. Have a good night, everyone.